Lovely people, another week, another live. We are again going to be talking about our process and journey through the SAVI process that from last week to this week. Now we're still on the discover phase, and the three of us have been doing different things along that discover phase. I am going to be joining the other two, so that is Nadine and Jennifer. Let's get hold of them. See if everybody's ready to have this discussion. See what's going on. I am, as you can see, sitting in my car. I haven't yet stepped into my house. I thought I might as well just wait here and sit in the car and have this meeting and then go inside. Hey, Jen.
Hey, beautiful. Good evening.
What are you doing? So
Oh,
you always set yourself up in the garden. I'm sitting in Friday. I should go through and go into my garden actually.
I just like,
Sitting.
yeah, 'cause it's not hot, but it's cool, and I just love being out in the garden. Don't have that many months of doing it, do we? So,
Yeah, exactly. Make the most of it. That's what I should have done. Walked myself in my house through to my garden and sat down. I've just
who are you
been
then in
lazy
the
and
car?
just sitting in the car. I'm sitting outside my house.
In the car outside your, get in your house, man.
Because this is starting. By the time I've got here, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just sit here and have it
This,
in here.
oh,
I've just was coming home.
oh, bless
So
you.
I haven't invited Nadine, so she'll be
Do you know what? I just had this panic. We are doing Discover, aren't we?
we are still on Discover, unless
Oh,
you've gone forward or gone backward.
do you know what? I just
Oh,
had this panic. So I was just thinking, and I was like, did we not? Because we talked about our name last identities, and I was thinking, oh my god, if I just messed it up this week, anyway, that's fine. I haven't really got that much to say. Are we live?
we are live.
We'll cut that bit.
It's going to bring you like you're in a sauna.
There's
Hello.
Nadine.
Looking nice and
Hey,
done.
ladies.
Where are you, mate?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I
She's
am in
really
Scarborough.
good. Yeah.
Huh?
I'm in Scarborough.
In Scarborough.
Jennifer, are you all right today? Because
Right?
she had a conversation about where she was and that she might not be able to join.
To me. But,
Me.
but
You're making me laugh today, Jennifer.
huh?
I said
I'm
you're making me laugh today.
Am I?
I
Oh.
am yeah, I'm supposed to be at dinner, so but there's no food, so I thought let me jump on while I can.
Oh,
It's likely that
okay.
I'm gonna have to kind of shoot off midway. So yeah.
No
Well, we're going to have to
problem.
maybe cut the beginning bit because we were having a little conversation.
If
And
every,
just,
there's
Nope.
people already joined us. There's no cutting. We've had a natural conversation. I was even talking to myself before you. Well, not talking to myself. I was talking to the people out there about what
oh,
today's about. Another chat about our savvy journey. We are on the discover phase then.
we are. That's good. I just checked. I had this panic that I have done my work on the Discover, and I was just like, did we
Mm.
do the name last week? And did we do it? And I was like, oh my goodness, have I messed up this week? But I
No,
haven't.
it's 2 weeks of discover, isn't it? So
That's good.
for those that are not familiar with the process, we've got the savvy process. Again, I'll just say being self-aware, being authentic, valuing and intentional people. So that
And
is the model. Within the model, we have 5 Ds, 5 dimensions. That I'll speak about today, so I can again say we have we have the decide phase, which is the start, then
yeah.
the discover, then the dream, then the design, and then the do. So we go through those 5 different Ds on the journey to becoming savvy and becoming intentional people. So the three of us are going through this process. We started on the 1st of July. We're going through it live to experience it for ourselves, firsthand, personally. because we've designed it, Nadine coined it, and we've designed what that's going to look like and how people work their way through it. But we want to actually travel through it and experience it for ourselves. So the power of being savvy. What was the term you used earlier, Jen, about savvy? There was a
Oh, we
term.
don't just walk. We don't just talk the talk. We walk the walk right beside you, along with you on the journey.
Mm. And there was something else you said. What was it, Nadine? You put a fire sign against it. Can you remember?
Mm-mm.
Can't remember what it was,
Oh, I
but
don't.
it was a nice little comment about this savvy journey and what it means to become an intentional people,
Oh,
and working our way through the different elements of life that and challenges of life that are thrown at us, but you keep going until you get to that point of being your best self. That's what we want to see people being, is their best self and living their best life with intention. I love that word, intention, with intention and purpose.
100% purposeful,
So,
purposeful.
on this discover phase, ladies, where are you at?
Where are you at? So last week we talked a little bit about our names, didn't we? So that
No.
was the first. I mean, and just to add to what Katrina was saying. So when you um, when you get the workbook, hopefully you're going to download the workbook as we go through this with us. You
Can
can
I
get the
just
workbook,
yeah, let's start
yeah,
going on.
and that's all right, yeah. And you get the workbook. So when you get to discover, there's some prompts here. You don't, it's not to say you have to answer all of them, but there's some really good prompts here to really help you unlock your excellence, as we say in the workbook. So last week, I think we touched a little
Yeah,
bit
and
about our
can
names.
I just help there, because you're talking about the workbook. Not everybody may have the workbook or know how to access it. So what I would suggest that people do is, out of the three of us, send us a DM, your email address if you haven't already done so, and then we can send you a copy of that free workbook, which is absolutely powerful and has a lot of really useful information within it. I just wanted to add that before you went on, Jen, so people know how to
Nice
access
one. Good. Yeah, that's good. That's a good prompt there. Yeah. So last week we had some great discussions around your name and understanding the significance and meaning. And there some other things that are key areas of that self-discovery are your values, identities, intersectionality, your fundamentals of well-being and health. And today, Katrina and I led a really powerful, a powerful masterclass on well-being. Trauma and healing is another area, behaviour and communication style, and your narrative from your personal journey. So they're some of the key areas. So I'm going to, if you're happy for me, I can just share some of those areas that I've been working. So particularly my values. So I've been linking my values, the values that I sort of really hold dear to part of my narrative. And so for me, I'm just going to sort of join them all up as part of my
it.
journey. So my identity, I would describe myself as African origin, Guyanese parentage, and British born. And when I say about Guyanese parentage, in terms of Guyana, it's like it's a culture that's got lots of different. It's a country with different cultures in there. So they've got your African culture, your Caribbean culture, your Indian culture, Portuguese, Spanish. And the reason I mention that is because it is so diverse. And one of my core values is respect, because actually we were really brought up just to respect people and their differences. So that has always been one of my core values. Um, and one of my other core values is actually love. And again, when I talk about love, so I have my siblings, but I also have a sister, another sister. We call her half sister. As half sister, we don't call her half sister. She's my sister. But again, for us, we were just a family. And my stepdad, he raised, he raised my sister and my brother as his own, and that from that was just pure unconditional love that we got from him. And actually, for my real dad, so I call them both dads. I used to say I've got two dads, but for my real dad, he's got a separate family, and again, there's love there. We talk about them as our second family. So for me, love is a really, really core value. I do think, and it might be a little bit sort of naive, but I just think actually if everyone could just give a little bit more love, the world would just be a much happier place. So love is one of my core values. Another core value of mine is about equity. And growing up, I was always saying, that's not fair. That's just not fair. My younger sister of 9 years would get lots and lots of attention. It was never fair. And so equity was something that was really, really important to me. So there's just three core. I've got some other ones. I've got optimism, laughter is very important to me. Humour is important. So there's some of my values. So I'm going to just take a pause there and just invite yourself, Katrina or Nadine, if you want to talk about your values or anything else that you want to talk about in your areas of self-discovery and your journey. And as I've linked mine a little bit to my narrative as well, which I can talk a little bit more about it, if time permits. Otherwise, I'll do it on their Instagram. Who would like to share a bit of their areas of self-discovery?
I can go because I may have to shoot off shortly anyway.
Sure.
So I guess the area of discovery that I wanted to speak to was around the communication and behavioural styles, and how that was a quite a significant, engaging in a self-survey, which we now offer as part of social work discovery. Engaging in that was a very pivotal point for me in my personal awareness journey, my self-awareness journey, is because it gave me language to things that I knew about myself but didn't necessarily have the language for. And I just think there's people that do like personality assessments and personality tests and all sorts, and it isn't that. It isn't about your personality. It's because personality is so complex. It's about how you turn up in the world in terms of your communication and your behavioral styles. And we all have elements of all of the styles that it speaks to, but actually I like to call it in terms of energy. So there's different colors. If you know anything about like a disc assessment, you know that there's different colors. So there's red, yellow, green and blue, and depending on whether you're more of a people person versus a task person versus quite outgoing versus quite bit more reserved or introverted, then it will kind of demonstrate to you which colour that represents you. But all of us have all of the colours within us, of to varying degrees and strengths, etc. And that may also change when you are in your natural state, when you're kind of just yourself and you're not under any stress, versus when you are under some stress. So for me, it was really important for me to kind of know that I'm a person that very much likes quality over quantity. I am very much a perfectionist. I like a lot of details when I want to make a decision. I'm not one of those people that will have like my perception of kind of half-hearted information, and then feel quite confident in making a decision. I can, but to make a confident decision, I feel like I need a lot of information, because making the right decision is important to me. So I don't tend to make a decision very quickly, although I just made a decision today, actually, which was a bit like, now I'm like, but anyway.
You're going to reanalyze all of that now, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, so there's definitely something about giving language to why you turn up the way that you turn up. Like when Jen and I have delivered training on this, and she would give an example of, there will be one person that walks into the office and they're all bubbly and they're all just, making a coffee by the coffee machine, or having a big old chat by the water, what do you call it, the water container or whatever, and they're quite bubbly, versus the person that kind of just walks in, goes straight to the desk, don't say morning to nobody, just kind of sits down and gets on with it. Unfortunately, that person is me. Like, I will go in and I will sit down. I'll sit down because in my mind I need to get what I need to get done. And once that's done, then I can be bubbly and kind of yeah. But if Jen was then that person that's kind of like really bubbly and I've just walked straight past her, maybe not said morning, Jen may get like, wow, she's rude, like I'm not talking to her again. Like, what the hell? But I can't, because of the way my brain works, I need to get the task done before I can be engaging and kind of jovial with other people, although I'm better than that now. So there's definitely something about kind of knowing how you turn up in the world, and especially in social work, knowing where your strengths lie can really help you when it comes to pinpointing which part of the system, maybe if you're in statutory social work, it can really help you to kind of understand which part of the system may be better aligned to you as a human being. So that's why I think it's so powerful. And if you want to get a self-survey done, send me a DM. There will be a website and kind of a whole offer with regards to that that's going to come up in the next couple of months. But yeah, that's definitely something that we want to be able to offer people, because it's really, really, really powerful information and can really help you with your supervision, telling people this is how to communicate with me. Do not do this if you do not want the result that you don't want. So yes, that's one of the discover phases. And so for me, it was a really, really, really pivotal thing that I did in terms of understanding who I am as a human.
Nice share. Thanks, Nadine.
And I'm just going to check if my food's here.
Bit of a wait for the food. I've
Oh, my food is here.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go, but my food's here. So
All right. Enjoy
enjoy.
your
I leave this
dinner.
in your
Lovely to
very
see
capable
you.
hands. All
Thank
right.
you. Okay.
um,
Just waiting Nadine to end. Thank you.
yeah. I think my journey has been similar. This past week, about looking at my values as well. And really connecting that with who I am. And I think today's masterclass really linked in with what I was saying about my values. Two of the core things that have come up for me was my values of service, so being kind of useful to people and sharing information. I'm very much a sharer. So if I have information that I think, oh, that's really useful, I'm going to share it with as many people as I can, and if they know it or not, then at least that I'm sharing it, and they can hopefully make use of it. That's how I always see it. If I find something useful, I want to let other people know, and that's kind of about of being of service and sharing my knowledge with people. That's something that I spoke about it in one of my lives, in terms of that came up quite strongly for me this week, where I've had some conversations with people where I've been able to actually impart knowledge that I have to really help them. Um, so that's been one of the key ones for me. And the service and connection, communication. I'm very much a people person. Um, I'm not one of the, I'm not an Nadine where I'll go in and just heads down. I always want to make sure people's okay and support people where I can, and give people value, and also gain the value from other people. So value is another one, a strong one for me. But it connects with what we were saying today in that masterclass about burnout, because what you can find is for me, when I'm always giving, giving, and giving, sometimes I've got to stop and remind myself that actually I need to have some me time, and some time for myself. And the discussions that we had today in relation to understanding where you might be at burnout really connected with me, because you can't always be a giver, is what I would say. You do have to make sure that you make time for yourself.
Very
And
true.
there's loads of other values that I've come across this week, but that's been one of the key things for me. That's what makes me feel good and gives me satisfaction. That's a lot of my kind of why as well, is being able to support others to get to where they want to be, as well as supporting myself. Of course, I want to make sure I get where I want to be and be the best version of me, but I don't want to do that alone. I want to bring people along with me, so that
Nice.
everybody's kind of living their best life. So helping other people is really key and important to me, part of
Nice.
who I am. And I've really realised that a lot more, through doing some of this work this week.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, some great points you're making there, Katrina. I think for those of you who haven't had a chance, please watch the masterclass today. It really, really was a powerful masterclass.
Yeah.
And just Nadine touched on the communication and behavioural styles, because most of us, we behave in a natural way, but when we get stressed, then a different style comes out. So for me, I'm generally sort of, quite laid back, quite sort of bubbly, want to see the whole big picture of stuff. But if I get stressed out and under pressure, I go into a very, I want this now, a lot of details, and I go into a very, very different mode. And it's really important you understand that, because otherwise people can think that, my gosh, she's a little bit schizo, isn't she? Sometimes she's like this, sometimes just like that. But with me, I'm very clear when I go into a new team. I will say to them very clearly, this is my normal style. However, so when when you get our lovely Ofsted and people coming in, you just have to get into that different mode. And so I'm very true, and because I've got that self awareness of myself, and that's really, really important. And again, it's important that you understand, for those of you who have direct reports, that you understand the behaviour and communication style of your direct reports. You might find that you've got a whole lot of yellows in your team, and you're wondering why are we not hitting our performance targets and things. It might be because actually you may not have people in there that are really into that detail. So that's another reason to really understand your behaviour communication style. Well, I think I'm happy to do is just talking about another one of the key areas that I did of some work on, and this is another area that I think is really important for us to understand our personal journey and our personal story. Really understanding how our past experiences make sense of our present. And certainly, when I look back at my personal journey, my personal journey and my personal leadership journey, so they're sort of entwined. I can see really key moments, when I decided, actually, sometime when I was actually quite disappointed and angry with the social work profession, and that's when I thought, actually, I don't want to be a social worker anymore, because things were happening that were not in tune with my values, and then I took some brave decisions, work for myself, which was obviously one of the best things that I did. I'm really pleased that I did that. I learned about different profiles and things. But also, what I've also learned about, I spoke about my family being Guyanese. So growing up, we was always a bit different, because actually most of my friends were Jamaican, or most people. Well, actually, most people said they were Jamaican. A lot of people weren't Jamaican, but everyone wanted to be Jamaican. And I was different, So in terms of with rice and peas. So we would do our rice and peas with black eyed peas, as opposed to Jamaicans, you'll do yours with red peas. So I was always a little bit different. I'm left-handed. Again, a bit different. People would say, "Ooh, a bit cack-handed you are," and some of those sort of phrases, they sort of fed into a limiting belief about myself. Of actually, I don't think I'm good enough. So again, it's really important that you can understand, how past experiences influence your present, and other things as well in my life. One of the key things, um, we used to sort of summer holidays. We would go, not every year, obviously, we couldn't afford it, but we would go and spend sort of maybe 6 weeks in Guyana, or we would, go and travel to America or Canada. And that was a really powerful experience, because actually what that showed me was actually black people in positions of power. And it was, oh, actually, you go and you see people in banks and so actually, I can achieve and believe. So again, how this into my subconscious about, actually, I want to be successful. Um, so that's some of the other key things, and the other key thing with me is traveling. I love traveling. I love seeing people in different cultures, how people live differently. I think it's one of the best educations. Well, not one of the best. I think it is the best education, actually, to travel and just to see difference. Um, and so, yeah, if for me, if it floats, I'm got on it. If it flies, I'm on it. I can't cycle very much, but if I could cycle somewhere, then I would do. Yeah, I would.
There's nothing
I would.
like that, is there? Just really learning from seeing the world and other cultures,
Yeah,
um, and other people's histories, not just what you're taught from a book, but
yeah.
really going out there and steeping yourself in it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Katrina, is actually one of the key things that I'm of that age where I grew up, and the National Front are very, very prominent. So I grew up in a time of racism in the UK. But actually, one of the key things that travelling has taught me was actually how proud I am to be Black British, and I can really say that because actually many many countries they would think that you see Americans when you say you're British, and they're just like, oh wow,
Mm.
and so again that how those past experiences, but even currently now, I think that actually I do think many of us don't realise the power we have of being Black
Mm.
British, and what that means to other
That links
people.
in with your narrative and your story, isn't it?
100%.
And it's interesting to hear you say that, because I know there are many people that actually sometimes they struggle with that part of the identity. And I'm thinking
Mm,
about people that identify as Black and Black
mm,
British.
mm.
And I've experienced this myself actually. Like, I'm very much British, and I identify myself as a Black British woman. But then there's sometimes where you're like, where you can question your
Oh
Britishness,
yes, yes. Oh
um,
yes.
and
Very
what
true.
that means. And my heritage is Jamaican on both
Hmm.
sides of my family, and I always will class myself as Black British or Jamaican heritage. And my Jamaican heritage is extremely important to me. Equally, I love a fish and chips. I love my chip. I love like the chip shop chips. I know it's not about
Yeah.
food, but that doesn't make you British, but that is a very British thing, and it's
Oh
something that I
yes.
really identify with.
Yeah.
And I've heard this from many people of Black origin, where it's like, how are you really British? Can you really class yourself as Black British? And I found that when I've gone to Jamaica, I can't say that I'm like full Jamaican, because they will
Right.
just look at me and know that I'm British. I'm called Ja English
Mm.
when I go out there,
I like that.
Ja English. But it's how you navigate those different parts of
Yeah.
yourself, isn't it?
Hundred
Because both
percent.
are very important to me. I've only lived in the UK. I only know the UK. This is my home. This is where I identify. But I absolutely identify with my Jamaican culture as
Mm.
well. Like, that is very much strongly a part of me. Like, I go to Jamaica and I feel like I'm home again.
Right.
Um, yeah, very much feel like a second home.
Mm.
Yeah, and as I said, it's straddling those different parts of who you are and your identity, and really, really being grounded in
Yes.
the sense of who you are and what that means to you as a person and personally.
Yeah.
And when you like understanding those self discovery parts of yourself, can then help you with your decisions going forward about the choices you make for yourself and what life looks like for you.
Yeah. That is very, 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 very true.
Mhm.
Very true. Have we got any comments from anybody? I can't see the chat. Can you see the chat at all, Katrina?
No, there isn't any comments.
Any comments coming through?
Yeah.
Then, I mean, one of the areas that I haven't done, and I think I spoke about this last week. There's a section that talks about trauma and healing, and that's one section that I've
I
done a little
haven't
bit.
I haven't done that section.
I've done some scribbling and writing down
Yeah.
stuff, but it's not one that I feel comfortable, if I'm honest, talking about live.
Mm.
Um, but it is an area that I do encourage people to really look into trauma and that healing. And some of you would recall that we did a masterclass on limiting beliefs. And so, I spoke earlier on about me not thinking I was good enough. I was a little bit awkward, a little bit different, and some of that limiting
Mm.
beliefs that I have as women. Many women have a limiting of belief. I'm not good enough, and it is really important that you explore that, because actually, if you don't explore that, and things happen, little things happen, and they trigger you, and you just don't understand why am I triggered by something that somebody
Mm.
has just said, and that is probably because of a trauma that's there that you may not have explored and certainly haven't healed from. So I
Yeah,
was
so they
again,
shifted it into the subconscious, isn't it? And not realizing that the impact that it has. So it's really
yeah,
important to do that exploration
yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Mm.
and definitely for us as Black British, the traumas that as I spoke about racism, racial trauma that we have, many of us have experienced, and many of us haven't healed from, because actually one of the things we don't talk about some of those
Yeah.
things and that trauma.
Mm.
We of the generation, I speak for myself, but the generation of our parents, very absolutely so strong, that generation was, and just got on, didn't they? They came here and had to, come into this hostile environment and just had to get on. And so,
And in some ways, Jen, that's a good thing and a strength. And in other ways,
oh,
can you hear me?
spoke up there for me, Trina. Say that again, love.
No, I'm saying in some ways that can be a good thing and a strength to just get on, but it can also be a bit of a challenge as well, a
Yeah,
weakness stroke challenge,
yeah,
because it's not always good to just be strong and just
yeah,
get on.
yeah,
As you're saying, that links in with what you're saying about understanding your traumas
yeah,
and the impact that those traumas have, because they have their own connotations.
definitely, definitely.
Okay,
So,
just before we end, the other thing is about health and well-being. So that was another
yes,
part of the
yes,
discovery. We don't need to necessarily go into it, but it's just to leave people with that and really thinking about your health and well-being. The masterclass we done today about avoiding burnout, that's about emotional well-being and really looking after yourself in that way. Whether that's burnout to do with work or whether that's burnout to do with personal life, with family, friends, whatever that looks like, it's about protecting your emotional well-being, but there's also your physical health as well,
oh
and your
gosh,
mental health as well. That you really need to understand, where are you at with those key things in terms of your well-being. Are there things that you
yeah,
need to shift and change to make your well-being stronger? Is the word I'll use. I always say, particularly well, actually all parts of our health, but particularly our physical health, without your health, you cannot do the other things that you need to do. I would say your health is the most important and key factor
yeah. It
in
is one
anybody's
of my
life.
one of my values, and just to add to that, that wasn't one of my values until my physical health was impaired.
Hmm.
And that's one of my top values. But with it, about 3 years ago when I had the diagnosis, and you're absolutely right, because actually when my physical being such a busybody, when my physical health is impacted, it just impacted on my emotional and my mental
Hmm.
health, because I was just like, and people would say to me, Jen, what's happened to you? I can't believe, you can see the
Hmm.
distress of the people. It makes me distressed, and
Yeah.
I've got to get through. I've got to get through this, and certainly I know that I've turned a corner because my physical health has improved, and that's allowed me to, I still got little twinges and bits and
Yeah.
pieces, but it's just allowed me to get back to myself again. And Saturday I was at a festival dance. I think I must have danced, I think 24,000 steps. And my neighbour girls are like, she's back. And I was just like, 2 years ago I could let's do this. And I just was dancing, and thought, it's on Sunday. I felt
Mm.
wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But just to leave with that though, the making time for your wellness is absolutely key, because
yeah,
if you don't make time for your wellness and your health, you'll be forced to make time for yourself in the sickness.
very true.
So just leave.
Yes,
We'll kind of end with that. I think
it's a nice sense.
look
Yeah,
after your well-being.
yeah,
Extremely important.
beautiful. So we're back here again next week, and we
And
are
Wednesdays,
in
aren't we?
the dream stage next week. We've got
Mm.
some. So through the week, we'll be asking ourselves some important questions and coming back to share some of those with you, and then we'll move.
Mm.
To, then we're moving to another bit of the section, which
Yeah,
is looking at our fundamentals, our Fs, aren't we?
yeah. So that's the design phase. So we do the dream phase and then on to the design phase. But dream phase is our next. is our next point. And again,
Yes.
if you don't have the workbook, just DM any of us your email address and we will send you over the free copy of the workbook so you can go at it at your own pace.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to go inside now. I've been sitting in the car for long enough. I
Been in the
think
car for ages, yeah. And I'm
I
going to
think
go
I'm going
do
to go
some
sit in the
dinner.
garden.
Good. Yeah.
All right, take
Listen,
care,
everyone,
Gwen. Take care, all.
thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Hopefully see you next week. Bye. Bye.